Sekiro Shadows Die Twice came out in March of 2019 and quickly became many people's game of the year. It follows the story of a one-armed shinobi named Wolf as he treks across the nation of Ashina in order to reclaim the freedom of his young master. It was made by From Software, a company renowned for having incredible world design, very subtle storytelling, and punishing difficulty. Sekiro takes all of these core gameplay mechanics to heart, while also finding ways to build off of the established formula with its new approach to world traversal, posture-based combat, and dragon's blood mechanic, making Sekiro a perfect contender for Action Game of the Year. Alright, script aside, Sekiro, I did not think I was going to be playing this game again, especially with the way that I left things off with that game. But now it's back, proving that shadows truly do die twice. Hey guys, my name is Murder Muffin, and thank you for coming back to the channel. And if you're new here and don't know what's going on, this is episode 2 in a series where I'm taking Control, my game of the year, versus other games that are pitched against it for the Game Awards. Today's category is Action Adventure Game of the Year, and obviously I've chosen Sekiro. And when I really think about what it means to be an action adventure game, there are two very obvious criteria. One is action, and the other is adventure. So if you're ready, sit back, relax, and subscribe if you want to, and let's get started. Now, the whole Soulsborne series is known for its difficulty, so I don't want to talk about that for too long. But the reason I even got out of Sekiro in the first place was because of its difficulty, specifically the boss fight with Owl. And coming back to it, it was no surprise that I wasn't able to defeat Owl instantaneously. It's hard. Combat in Sekiro is based off of a posture system, deflecting and parrying blows in order to break a character's posture, and dealing fatal blows to actually take out their bars of health. This makes combat fast-paced and almost forces you to stay in the fight, because actually attacking a hero does nothing but whittle down their health bar, which makes every deflection do more posture damage, effectively making the defensive maneuver of parrying a attack in its own right. But this is where the difficulty comes in, with some bosses and the enemies having quick and variable attacks that can be hard to read sometimes, or some of them even hitting you with a flurry of blows that break your posture very quickly. Returning to the Owl boss fight reminded this of me very brutally and hurt my pride a little bit, though I did find it almost easier now that I had gone through the entire experiences of Code Vein and Jedi Fallen Order, who kind of took off of the Dark Souls vibe. It was a big controversy towards the beginning of the life of this game that there should be an easy mode, and I do believe that playing other games that have similar mechanics will almost teach you to play Sekiro. The second time I've started playing it, it was a lot more enjoyable, I found. Now, I wasn't able to beat Owl, and because I didn't want to just have footage of me losing to the same boss over and over again, I did start the game over, and actually had a lot of fun with it. I was surprised how enjoyable it was to pass through a lot of the early parts with ease, with the experience you get by fighting tougher bosses in the future, as well as other games that have started to learn off of this game's success, as well as the other Dark Souls games. And it really is fun. Now, because of its difficulty, a lot of this enjoyment or a lot of this pleasure does come on the back end. You're not exactly frothing at the mouth with pleasure while you're getting your ass handed to you by a giant ogre. But after you learn how to take down the ogre after a good 20 times, you feel good. It's so good. It's a challenge that has now been overcome, and you feel great for doing it. It also encourages you to actually think and slowly pay attention to the specifics of how a match works. Certain boss arenas have extra enemies that kind of move around the map. You can sneak attack and pick those off. You can also get easy sneak attack on the bosses themselves if you can figure out how to do that. It really rewards you, because boss fights can become significantly easier if you learn how to pick off those smaller enemies early on, or if you can learn specifically how those bosses attack and remember their attack patterns. Control approaches this in a different way. It's not particularly difficult, and there's nothing special about a lot of the bosses. They normally have one or two moves that they do over and over again, and you can learn how to get around them fairly easily. Where Control gets a lot of its energy and a lot of your excitement is the crazy amount of power that you feel like you have. Learning to fly around and throw objects, or even pick up smaller enemies, it makes you feel like a superhero, or like you are this crazy powerful being that cannot be stopped. You jump immediately into the heat of battle, and instantly you're throwing cement blocks at people. You're making a shield out of the ground below you, grabbing missiles out of the air, chucking them back. Even the gun is really cool, the service weapon. You can change what kind of guns you have, from a laser cannon type thing to a shotgun to just a regular pistol to even a machine gun of sorts. It's really just cool, but you don't feel particularly good after the fights are over, and some of those fights can feel kind of cheap or overwhelming. And then you have to slow down and kind of just pick them off one by one in order to win. And that's just not fun, especially when you're supposed to have almost this mythical level of power. Slowing it down like that really kind of, I don't know, kills the vibe a little bit. But like I said, it's fairly easy, so that doesn't happen too often. And most of the time you just get to walk around like this superpowered badass. But where Sekiro kind of gets the upper hand is the just pure variation in boss fights and just enemy types. For in Control, you're mostly fighting people with orange eyes and guns. There are a couple other variations. They might have a shield on them, they might float at you and explode, or they might have their own telekinesis powers and throw objects at you. But for the most part, it's standard, and they all don't look very interesting either. Sekiro, however, manages to make every creature feel important. From basic enemies with swords who can easily overwhelm you if you're too greedy, or if you let yourself get surrounded, to the vast array of boss fights. There are so many different types of bosses in this game, from Lady Butterfly to the immortal centipede gorilla, even a giant ass snake. There's a lot in this game, and it makes you feel on your toes all the time. And for that, I have to give a point to Sekiro for being just a really, really good game and inventive and trying a lot of different stuff and making it all work together really well. It's a really good game. I would highly recommend it, even though I can't beat it. But then there's the adventure part. In Control, you are investigating the oldest house, the building that the Federal Bureau of Control inhabits in order to run their weird kind of FBI investigations into the paranatural. Some secret entity has gotten in called the Hiss, and people are randomly turning into monsters that are trying to kill you, and there are items everywhere with crazy abilities that just do weird things that you never would have thought of. Like a refrigerator that always has to have someone staring at it, or else there will be consequences. Or the fact that they won't allow number 2 pencils into the building because something dangerous might happen. It's a really secretive and really interesting world, even in the documentation. Times, people, locations are blocked out and redacted. There's just so much to learn about this world, and picking up all the little pieces of lore that are stranded all throughout the entire FBC location is so interesting, and you can sit and read these documents for hours. It's a lot of fun, especially if you care about this kind of thing. It really helps build the world. When I think about what adventure really is in a video game, it's how much you care about seeing everything and learning everything about the area you're in and the people in it. And Control does that very well. Without forcing you to read everything about it, you can learn so many little bits through the Darling Diaries, or from just listening to little bits of the radio, or just listening to characters talk around you about what's going on. Where it gets a lot of its adventure and like its allure from is its mystery. The character Ati, he's just, everything about him makes no sense. He can make elevators appear out of nowhere. He goes on vacation, but he is actually in this long hallway that connects the world together. And finding the answers to all the questions you have is just so inviting and so interesting, and you can't wait to learn everything that you can about it. Sekiro, however, has a very direct and very well thought out way of approaching how the lore of the world works. Almost every character, at least everyone that speaks, has some kind of background that you can watch videos on that is really interesting. You can learn, what they've done in the past and what they're doing now, and why where they are is so important, and what impact they have on the world around you as well. Most notably, characters like the Armored Knight, who can't be inflicted any damage upon because he's wearing this, more Western armor against you, a shinobi with a sword. He's totally out of place in this world, and you find that he's there to defend his son because he heard that people up on the mountain could potentially cure him of the disease he's going through. Every location you go to is different and inspired, and there are so many times where I walked around a corner and went, whoa, this is another way I could go. And now there's this new boss that you'd never even heard of. The first time I saw the Headless, I was like, holy shit, I did not know this was here. And that kind of sense of discovery is exciting. And it all looks beautiful, and it all has a purpose, and it all has this meaning that goes back together with everything else that's in the game, and it makes you really care about what's going on. When you see later in the game, after the kind of the resurrection, that everything up in flames, it really hits you. It feels devastating, and it's because of that emotional and intellectual just like involvement that you get in the world of Sekiro that makes it sadly beat out Control for action adventure game, in my opinion. And it deserves it. It's a really, really great experience. I highly suggest you enjoy it. I, however, will not be, because it is too hard for me. I am a casual gamer. I don't know, my brain just doesn't work well with this type of game, and that's fine. And that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know if you thought it was interesting in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and I'll be making new ones tomorrow. And as always, I have been Murder Muffin. You guys have been amazing, and I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.